Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. Guys are here, they're talking games gone, games to come, and everything else football related. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share that podcast around, people. Come on. You like the football. Your friends like the football. Your family likes the football. Say, hey, I've got a podcast for you to listen to, and I ain't taking no for an answer. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, a football podcast.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night. Whatever time of day you're listening to us, welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, for your weekly dose, your weekly fix of football-based nonsense right here at the CookieCast Podcast Network. Obviously, it's myself and Mr. Woodmansey joining you this week to go through the ups and downs of Middlesbrough, Hull and Nottingham Forest. How are we this week, sir?
Once again, full of cold. So we'll see how this.
This is a slightly new one. We've changed up our recording pattern this week, ladies and gentlemen. So I come to you fresh off. What's the opposite of like slogging your guts out?
Just sat doing now.
Okay, what's the footballing equivalent of not doing that much?
Oh, playing in goal.
Oh no, I definitely played outfield, but just to pull back the curtain slightly, it is a Monday evening that we're doing the recording, which never normally happens, as both myself and Mr. Woodmansey are normally busy on Monday evenings, but we managed to move some stuff around and we managed to come to you this week. Not live, because that would be crazy, but after I've played football and you've watched some football, I dare say.
I watched some football.
There you go. Perfect. So, yes. So, 3 games to cover from last week. And sadly, for me, we do have to start at the Riverside. And oh, good God. I believe I said on last week's podcast that the bad run has to end at some point, and that I was hoping it was going to be this game, and we could kickstart the push for automatic promotion based on the fact that they know exactly what they needed to do. Millwall were unable to beat West Brom on the Friday night, and in the early kickoff, they had watched Ipswich go to Norwich and win 2-0. So Middlesbrough went into this game knowing that they needed 3 points to keep pace with Ipswich at the top of the table, or keep them in touch with second place. And as seems to be the case with most Borough games this season, they were the ones setting all of the early pressing, the early attacking influence, shall we say. The first big chance was Jeremy Sarmiento down the left-hand side. His ball was fed into Alan Brown just inside the box. His low shot was stopped. And then the rebound was pounced on by the goalkeeper to keep it at 0-0. And then we had a corner from the left-hand side. Dale Fry, header at the back post. Nice, comfortable save for the goalkeeper. Sounded like that was it for the first half. A bit of a first half of zero, well, not zero chances, because obviously we've discussed some of them, but very few chances, shall we say. So into the second half, Ryan McGree was in on the right-hand side, forced a double save from the goalkeeper. There was a ball into the box following a little run, a little mazy dribble by Tommy Conway that managed to make its way through to a Portsmouth defender who tried to clear it, but got it sort of like tangled in his own legs, and then just managed to push the ball wide. Then there was a couple of chances from corners, cornering from the left-hand side. Riley McGrew was on the edge of the box, took a touch with his right, and then volleyed straight back at the keeper with his left. one of those efforts that's a very very good save by the goalkeeper. He managed to sort of shift his feet and palm the effort over the goal, over the top of the bar. Similar effort by Sonchi Hansen, another corner in from the left hand side. He found himself on the edge of the box. Yet again, fired his effort straight at the goalkeeper, who was able to tip it over. And as seems to be the case, but unable to find the breakthrough. And for the second time in 3 home games, there was a cruel killer twist deep into injury time. Portsmouth got a corner in the 97th minute, swung in from the left-hand side, headed out, I believe, by Dale Fry. Segacic was about 20 yards out and just hopefully punted the ball sort of back into the box. Goes through a crowd of bodies, takes a flick off Connor Chaplin from 6 yards out, deceives Solbrin and trickles into the net to give Portsmouth an incredibly valuable and vital 3 points that takes them out of the relegation zone and plunges Borough further into the depths of deep depression in 4th place, only 3 points clear of a rampaging Southampton who have a game in hand and can go above Middlesbrough with a win this week. Ooh, just bad, really, really bad. It's always that thing of if you're a team that's chasing either promotion or the playoffs or trying to stay up, the one time of the season you don't want to lose form or any sort of progress. It's 6 games, like 8 games to go between the now and the end of the season, and Borough just falling straight into the trap. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast before, but the starting 11 doesn't really change that much. There's maybe 2 or 3 players that sort of get rotated in for others, but at the moment, the players just look absolutely knackered. They're out on their feet, like they are doing everything they can, but the finishing's just not there. And the problem they've got is that there isn't anyone who can come off the bench and make an impact and change a game. So they're down to basically using what they've got in the squad and trying to supplement it with youth team players. And it's just not working. So they need to just shit out. They basically need to do this, but to a team. So they need to do a 97th minute that goes in off literally someone's arse cheek, left testicle, right eyelash, anything. Just get any sort of momentum to sort of get the push restarted. The only thing in the back of my head that's given me sort of, I don't even want to call it optimism. Sunderland going into the playoffs lost 5 on the spin last season, which I'd forgotten, and then obviously beat Coventry over 2 legs and beat Sheffield United in the playoff final. So it's not unheard of that a team can go into the playoffs on dog rough form, but at the moment, Borough don't look like keeping clean sheets and they can't score. So unless something changes pretty drastically, they might not even make the playoffs, let alone get a hot mic promotion. But yeah, I'll just go through the stats because that's what we seem to like doing at this particular point. Total shots, 20 for the Borough, 8 on target, 3 for Portsmouth, 1 on target. I'll just give you the stats from the earlier game in the season. Portsmouth had 1 shot on target and won 1-0. In this game, Portsmouth had 1 shot on target and won 1-0. So this season, Portsmouth have won both games with 100% shot on target ratio. Absolutely wonderful. Oh God, it's hard. It's hard to remain optimistic when literally everything is just crumbling around them. But I don't know what do you say?
I mean, They're going all out to make sure Hellberg doesn't get the award for that Manager of the Season nomination, aren't they?
I mean, it certainly looks like it, but yeah, I don't know. Like part of me does think it would be the most Borough thing ever to shit away the last 10, like 12 games of the season and then scrape their way up through the playoffs. But I just don't know anymore.
It's just all harking back to the hope that kills you stuff, isn't it? That's all it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
I think
And
Sunderland were probably the anomaly last season because for me, there's usually that one team that hits form and just plows straight through, and Southampton have looked like that side for the last sort of 6 to 8 games now because they were outside the playoffs not so long back, and now they're firmly planted within, aren't they?
there's a podcast that I listen to where they keep bringing up all of the Southampton stats, and I think it was something as ridiculous like 10 games ago they were still like 16th in the table or something like that.
It's like you'd expect, like if a team goes on a cup run, it would hinder their league performance, but weirdly, it's like them getting the games in hand because they've been playing the FA Cup. It seems to be like, right, we'll keep that one in the back pocket, boys, and like carry on, like.
And this is the only thing where I said this about Ipswich, and the one thing that sort of could go against them is the fact that they're not going to have more than sort of 3 or 4 days rest between now and the end of the season because they've got all the games to fit in between now and the 2nd of May. So you might find that when it comes to the sort of the second last game of the season, they're playing Ipswich. Both of them, both teams are going to that like pretty knackered and stuff like that. So if Borough can somehow find a couple of wins from somewhere and keep themselves in the sort of the mix. Yeah, that if that game finishes a draw, I just don't know. But it doesn't get any easier when we come to Borough's fixture Borough's next fixture. But obviously we'll get to that in the second half. So Middlesbrough 0, Portsmouth 1, Connor Chaplin with a 97th minute winner. You'll be surprised to hear neither myself nor Mr. Woodmansey had predicted a Portsmouth win. I got close, as I did have a 1-1 draw, and I had Segacic to score the goal. Now, unfortunately for me, his effort wasn't even on target. So the fact that it just hit Chaplin and went in the goal doesn't even give me points for a goal scorer. So it's no points for me. Stuart gone for a 0-0 draw, so was literally seconds away from having a bang-on prediction. And yet he gets nothing. So cheers, Portsmouth. Oh, what a sad little life you all lead.
I suppose
our second game,
being so close and then ended up with nothing for me is almost the perfect. That could have been your entire piece on the game for you. Then
just nonsense. So Borough. So there we go. We covered it there. Borough played Portsmouth twice this season, lost both games. Who's the only team in the division that have lost to Sheffield Wednesday this year? That's right, it's Portsmouth. So by rights, that probably means that Sheffield Wednesday will win when they come to the Riverside, which we will cover later on in the podcast. But things don't get much better, ladies and gentlemen, when we go to our second game of the week, which took place at Bramall Lane and saw Sheffield United versus Hull City. Now, I do have to preface this one with, should we call it referee watch? Or I haven't seen the incident that I'm sure we will get to at some point during the contest. But from everyone I've heard,
Paul? Which one of the many fuck ups across the afternoon are we? I'm assuming we're talking about are we talking about the penalty? Maybe let's get to it.
I'll let you dive in.
It all started so well. On 5 minutes, Peck's pass was picked off by Liam Miller, and he pressed forward, laid the ball through for former Sheffield United frontman Ollie McBurney to slot home. Despite what may have been said about him on the podcast previously, he didn't celebrate the goal, so there obviously is a heart in there somewhere. But we also have a few other former Sheffield United players in the lineup, such as John Egan and John Lundstrom. We'll get to him. Um, so it was all Hull. There was chances galore. Hull were absolutely cruising in this game. Couldn't convert anything on the way through. McBurney had a second chance cleared off the line from a bit of an acrobatic overhead kick, which he managed to kick into the floor. And as it bounced up towards the net, 3/4 of the ball was over the line. But a Sheffield United player, oh God, who was it? Mark McGuinness managed to scramble the effort like off the line. Like he got himself into the net to try and head clear from that point. And everything was looking like Sheffield United were then basically going to go on to lose their seventh game in a row. Or, well, no, not lose seven, but not win in seven, should I say. And then the referee decided to just absolutely lose his fucking head. So Lundstrom had been booked. I mean, this is a guy as well, by the way, who played 108 times for Sheffield United, so he's another one of the former players, like I said. Um, he had a bit of a coming together with the guy who made the goal line clearance, McGuinness. And then it was deemed that he took out, and this I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Riedewald on the halfway line. Now, to be fair, he absolutely did take out Riedewald on the halfway line. The referee, though, gave the second yellow card for that challenge, having got in John Lundstrom's way. Lundstrom couldn't get to the ball cleanly because the referee stepped across him. Lundstrom had to deviate from his path, which then slowed him down, and then he ploughed into the player. Now, still, there's an argument to be made. Softlad gave the referee a decision to make, which is understandable and a reasonable argument. But these how involved these referees want to get? Like, there's got to be a point where an admission is made of, do you know what? I'm really sorry, I got that wrong. If the referee touches the ball, it's a drop ball. If we're stepping across players to block them, surely that's the same outcome. From the point of effectively where the referee was pretty much fouling the player. It's ridiculous. So I was a little bit worried at this point because our manager and the surrounding team aren't always great when the refereeing decisions go against them. They're pretty vocal and quite often get booked. This time it was the turn of one of the assistant coaches. It wasn't Sergei himself. But yeah, we did pick up another booking. And including all of the yellow cards that the management staff have picked up this season, Hull have now gone over 100 yellow cards for the season and are the most booked team in the division.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
That's impressive.
It is.
Triple digits.
It is. But what I will say is, have a little look back at some of these. Because this prick at the weekend was a little bit happy with his cards, and I would suggest for no good reason. Again, more cards were issued throughout this game, but a penalty was also given. Now, not long after the red card, Sheffield United were awarded a corner. Going to be swung in from the right-hand side, and just before the corner could be taken, the referee called the players in the box to a bit of a stop because he'd noticed that there was some wrestling going on. And it's the same thing you would see in 99.9% of any corner that's taken in the Championship all season. And you want to see the state of the wrestling further down the divisions, by the way. However, the referee had given everybody a warning. The corner was then allowed to be taken. The ball had barely got into the air before around 4 or 5 players all hit the floor from both sides. Nobody really knew what had happened, but the referee blew the whistle and awarded a penalty. If anything, Patrick Bamford was wrestling with McBurney in the goal. Bamford with a lovely hip toss, basically to Ollie McBurney to put him on the deck. Then two Sheffield United players were around Kyle Joseph, but apparently it was Kyle Joseph that was deemed to have had his arms around one of the Sheffield United players, which, to be fair, he did. But there was two of them there, sort of on him. It was a very very bizarre decision. Anyway, the penalty was given. The ref was still a twat, and Hammer stepped up to score the penalty on 85 minutes. If only that was the end. Unfortunately for Hull, the afternoon got worse when on 88 minutes, Danny Ings, that's right, Father Time himself, stepped up to score the winner. It wasn't anything special. It's just frustrating. Hull had absolutely bested the game until the referee decided to basically fucking ruin it. And I'm aware that there'll be people that may listen to this that think, "Oh, it's Stuart. He's off again about the referees, and it's always the referee's fault. It's always the referee's fault." Well, as Paul mentioned, we are recording this on a Monday. News from earlier today. As reported by Hull Live, where is the bit that I wanted to read to you? On Monday, it is understood that the head of EFL referees, Kevin Friend, contacted the Tigers to express his views on the Premier League officials. That's right, guys and girls. The guy who was in charge of our game was a Premier League official who hadn't refereed a game in 2 months. But he contacted the Tigers to express his views on the Premier League officials' display and to apologise for the key errors that led to City's defeat. So the head of refereeing for the division wanted to apologise to the team because he basically admitted that the guy didn't have a fucking clue. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Friend, for your phone call. I'm assuming that you've just deposited the 2 points straight back onto the tally in the league because, why else would you be ringing? Absolutely scandalous. In the post-match interview, Ollie McBurney was interviewed, obviously, as the goal scorer and former Blade. And he didn't exactly hold back with regards to his comments on the refereeing performance. So, if anything else is to come from this, watch this space, because as the week rolls on, I kind of expect a charge to be dropping his way as well. But yeah, very disappointing. 2-1 defeat. From literally snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Disappointing, and I think obviously when the red card was given, sadly it had that sort of sad inevitability to it, didn't it? Where it just felt like it was just going to go that way.
Sheffield United weren't in the game.
No, they really, really weren't. Oh, dearie me. Predictions wise, some points. I had gone for a 2-1 Hull City win, with Bamford to score for Sheffield United, Gelhardt and McBurney to score for Hull. I do get a point for the McBurney goal. Stu had also gone for a 2-1 away win, but had gone for Hamer to score for Sheffield United, Miller and McBurney to score for Hull. So 2 points for Mr. Woodmansey there.
Whoa. Is that the 2 points that were missing?
Yes. Well, 3, surely.
Yeah, true. Bastards.
Yeah, it's all bollocks. And the standard of officiating is quite possibly at an all-time low.
Oh, you're not even kidding.
Across the divisions, yeah, more so in the Championship, League 1 and League 2. because they don't have the benefit of the VAR to bail them out of certain things. So it's a point for me, 2 points for Stu so far, and our third and final game of the weekend took us to the City Ground in Nottingham, where Nottingham Forest were taking on Aston Villa. Now, I have only just seen the highlights of this, so I will go through this very quickly. Aston Villa took the lead on 23 minutes. It was an own goal by Murillo. The ball was cut back from the left-hand side by Morgan Rogers. Unfortunately, Murillo found himself in a position where he couldn't really sort his feet out and slotted into his own goal from about 2 yards out. Forest got themselves back on level terms in the 38th minute. Ball clipped over from the right-hand side by Ola Aina. It was held up by Callum Hudson-Odoi. He laid the ball into the path of Nico Williams, who fired home from the edge of the box. Made it 1-1. Going into half-time, it was 1-1. And then in the second half, it seemed to be mostly Villa that had the chances. One great save from Matt Sells, low down to his right-hand side from a chance from John McGinn to keep it at 1-1. But Ollie Watkins probably should have won the game, but he blazed straight over the bar from the edge of the box. So the game finished 1-1. I don't get any points because I had gone for a 2-1 Forest win with Gibbs White, Dominguez, and Watkins as my goal scorers. Stu didn't have correct goal scorers either, but did correctly predict a 1-1 draw, so bags himself 2 points. So Stu wins the week, 4 points from the 3 games. Me, just that one solitary point. That book, ladies and gentlemen, is done. No more pages to be filled. So it does mean that for the last bit of the season, we do have to start a fresh book. We're going to take a small break so I can charge that fresh book, and we'll come back at you with 6 predictions for week 30. Can't open the page quick enough. 33.
Oh, 33. I was going to be like, dub it in later. It's fine.
Wait, Pete, we Atlanta Falcons. Yes, exactly. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And just like that, the break is open and we are back. So, breathe it in. It's fresh book smell, ladies and gentlemen. That's correct. Fresh book for the last 5 weeks of the season. It almost seems like it's a bit of a...
Won't even be 5 weeks because we've got two games, haven't we, some weeks? So
yeah, but Forest are annoying, aren't they? Because they've got more games to play than us. So more weeks to go, and fingers crossed, 3 more games for our boys.
Well, certainly for yours. I'm not sure about mine.
It could be if things go to plan. I honestly, I don't think my brain could take it. If it was a Borough Hull playoff, I think I'd probably just have to put myself in like suspended animation for the 2 or 3 hours that the game is going on.
Oh, don't you worry. The boys have like my boys have already talked about it. Like if not like the Middlesbrough thing, but just generally the playoff finals. Like if we get to go to Wembley, are we going to go? I was like, well, yeah. And then about 20 minutes later, I was like, oh shit, what if it is Middlesbrough? And obviously, I couldn't really say that to them. So on the plus side for you, if everything does go to plan and Borough do well, obviously it doesn't kind of go to plan and Borough do get in the playoffs, if that makes sense. At least you don't have to play Coventry in them this year, so every cloud.
No, the league will do something. The league will probably work out some way to be like, well, even though Coventry have won the division, we're gonna give their position to Southampton, and we're gonna replace Coventry. We're gonna replace Southampton with Coventry for this set of fixtures.
Could we technically, if the season is sort of finished in that regard, get Casey Palmer back from Luton, and he can bring his like second-hand Coventry-ness with him for that fixture? Is that how that works?
Did he score at the weekend because they won the Virtue Trophy?
I don't. Do you know what? I didn't see I knew they were at Wembley, but I didn't see the final score.
I think Luton won 3-1. And I don't know if he was one of the goal scorers. I don't think he was, but yeah, any sort of good positive juju that we could bring either one of our boys would be nice. So week 33, like we said, 6 games to predict, and the first of which sees us dive back into European competition. It's the second leg of Nottingham Forest versus FC Porto in the Europa League quarter-finals. Now, obviously, this is 1-1 from the first leg, so Forest know that any sort of positive result in their favour will see them into the semi-finals, where they will play either not Aston Villa or Bologna, I believe, for a place in the final. But obviously, they've got to beat Porto to get there. So the question is, do we think Forest will beat Porto? I do. I've gone for a 2-1 Forest home win here. I've gone for a goal apiece for Igor Jesus and Chris Wood, and then a consolation goal, or probably just a Porto goal, as it were, by Gould or Hull.
I think
It's G with a U with an umlaut above it and an L.
oh, I was gonna say that I think they're playing in Nottingham, not like just off the M62.
Just outside Selby.
Yeah,
Lovely.
right in the ghoulies. Um, I agree with you in the sense of I think that Forest have got it in them to win, but I think it'll be a really nervy affair, and I can't see there being lots of goals in it. I also can't see there being any more spectacularly placed own goals like there was in the first leg. Um, I still can't get around that. It made me chuckle, and I've seen it a couple of times since, and it's made me smile. There's no way the keeper was getting that. It was right in the corner. Anyway, I've gone for 1-0 Forest with Anderson to score.
Mm, lovely stuff. So either way, we've both gone for a positive Forest result, which sees them into semi-final.
I feel like it would be now that Spurs are in full on free fall. Um, I feel it would be remiss of Forest not to like cram in a few more games just to make the Premier League fixtures that much harder to make a real like meal of staying up. Like, do
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like, it's just the law of sod and all that.
100%. Our second game takes us to this weekend's festivities, and Saturday at 3 p.m. So it's Hull City taking on Birmingham City. I presume because it's a 3 p.m. you'll be there.
Yes, however, we will be starting the day in York.
Ooh, interesting.
So we will be get having to get home to get sorted to get back to the game. So yes, we will be going, but the day will be somewhat fraught, I should imagine.
Hmm. So it's Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will give us a prediction last. I'll just start us off here. Up until the weekend, Birmingham were in wretched form. They had lost 3 on the spin and then got a 2-0 win at home to Wrexham to arrest their slide. So I think it makes sense that they're now due another loss again. So I've gone for a 1-0 Hull win for Gelhardt to get the goal. What have you gone for?
I love the fact that you think that we won't concede at home. I have gone I've gone for a Hull win. I feel like they'll have a bit between their teeth after the injustice of last weekend. My only issue with that is we're possibly running out of players to to do that with. Obviously, Lundstrom will be banned for the game, but I've got also got Gelhardt to score. I've got Balumi to score, and for Birmingham, everybody's favourite Thunderbird puppet, Jay Stansfield, with his stupid plastic hair.
Gelhardt, Balumi, and Stansfield.
You know when you're really hoping that during a game somebody runs full pelt into the post for no apparent reason. I would be okay with it being him. I can't stand him.
Fair enough. I won't ask any more questions. Our third game of the week takes us to Sunday, 12 p.m. And sadly, given Middlesbrough's current form, this doesn't have as much riding on it as it probably did 3-4 weeks ago, dare I say.
Yeah, it's still
But
important.
Oh, absolutely. But bear in mind, given how Ipswich get on in their midweek game against Portsmouth, or the home wreckers that they are, Portsmouth, Ipswich could go into this 6 points clear of Borough. So even then, a loss to Borough wouldn't be catastrophic in those terms, I suppose. But obviously, that is all dependent on how they get on against Portsmouth this week. It's my team, so I will give my prediction second, which means that Mr. Woodmansey gets to get us off for with his prediction for Ipswich versus the Borough.
If you write it down really fast, it'll go by quicker. Ipswich 2, Middlesbrough 0. Again, Ipswich seem to be finding a good bit of form coming off the back of the Tractor Boys East Anglia derby business. Yeah. I've gone for Mehmeti and Johnson.
You know it's bad when you're picking a right back to score against you.
Yep.
I have got the exact same score, but with two different goal scorers. So, yeah, I also think it'll be a 2-0 Ipswich win to all but end any lingering hopes that Middlesbrough have of making the top two. And you've forgotten the most vital rule of all.
The
old boy rule.
Yeah.
So I've got. I don't think he's even played from the last couple of games, but Akpom will almost certainly come on at some point in the game and obviously score. And they've got Dan Nealon on loan from from Sunderland, who obviously is from the area, so will obviously score probably a rasper from like 80 yards or something. At this point, yeah, just it's unlikely that they're going to get in the top two. So at this point, I'd kind of be happy for Borough just to rest anyone that's got a knock or that looks knackered. Just take the medicine, play the youth team, keep the first team sort of like get them as fit as you possibly can for the inevitable slog that's going to come with the playoffs. It's hard to say, but I think that's the point we're at now. Fourth game of the week is also on Sunday, and he's in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest taking on Burnley at 2 p.m. It's neither of our teams, so neither of us technically need to go last, but one of us has to. So I'll get us started. I've gone for a 2-0 home win. Gone for a Gibbs White and Anderson goal apiece. Although I did remember that Scott Parker is the manager, and he seems to have a bit of a decent record at the City Ground for some weird reason. So that one might come back and bite me in the arse. What have you got for Forest versus Burnley?
I've got a 2-1 home win.
Okay.
I know that we've got the Europa League hangover to come, but Burnley aren't exactly in great form either, are they? So
they are not.
I've gone for Fleming to get the goal for Burnley, and I've got Morgan Gibbs White and then Chris Wood to get the heroes welcome in his first. What is it? Will it be his first? Could be his first full Premier League game back if the fitness is there.
Potentially, yeah. I think he's obviously had little bits here and there, and he got given the start in the Europa League, but obviously got taken off at half time because I'm sure his fitness is just nowhere near where it needs to be. But yes, I had forgotten that old boy rule was definitely in effect there. That's the weekend's games done, so we move forward to the midweek fixtures, and the first of which takes us to the Walkers. No, it's not the Walker Stadium anymore. It's the King Power, isn't it?
The Crisp Bowl.
The Crisp Bowl. where Leicester City will be taking on Hull City. I don't think that, however the results go at the weekend, that Leicester can be down with this one. But there is a distinct possibility that if the results do go against them at the weekend, Leicester might need something from this to avoid relegation. Interesting. It's Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will give his prediction last. I've gone for a cagey 1-1 draw here. I've gone for Daka to score for Leicester and Crooks to score for Hull.
Ooh. Well, this one, firstly, should have been on the Wednesday, but thanks to Sky picking Leicester's next game for TV, which I assume will be the decider in that regard, I think they've moved that game to the Friday night, possibly, so they've moved this game a night forward.
Against the Millwall, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So cheers. Again, Sky doing it for the fans. Thank you very much. I've gone for, and purely because we generally, I think we've got our bad away game out of the way now with the implosion at Sheffield United. So I've gone for a 1-0 Hull win. And also have picked Crooks to score.
Oh.
I feel like their back line is, for want of a more accurate description, fucking massive. So Gelhardt's probably not going to be your guy. McBurney will be busy trying to DDT anybody into the floor that he can get hold of. And therefore that leaves Crooks to pick up the second ball and slot one home for me. So we'll see.
Yeah, I like it. And then to finish off the week, we move to Wednesday. And quite appropriately, it's Middlesbrough versus Sheffield Wednesday, or the Sheffield Wednesday voucher, as another podcast I listen to has been referring to them all season. It's my team. I will give my prediction last.
It didn't work for Coventry, though, did it?
No, it did not. They got a 0-0 at the weekend. So, yeah, -4 points for Sheffield Wednesday. Dare I ask what you've gone for Borough versus Wednesday?
So, when Wednesday came to Hull, there was that overlying air of we're going to be the banana skin. I think that Middlesbrough has got that same kind of air about it on the basis of that the form of both teams is absolutely cack. However, we got a 2-1 win out of it that day, so I have just copied and pasted that. So I'm going for a Middlesbrough 2-1 win. If we're going to be specific, and it is exactly the same, Sheffield Wednesday to go ahead, and then Borough to come back and win 2-1. So I've got Jamal Lowe to score for Wednesday, and Conway and the Brune.
Conway and Brown. I too have gone with a win, but I've gone for very much the scabbiest of 1-0 wins.
Like in the 97th minute, in off somebody's bits or something.
Honestly, if it just gets them out of this rut, I would literally take a hopeful punt upfield by the goalkeeper that the wind catches and takes in. They need a result. You could not ask for a better team to be playing against. I know that they've put up fight in the last couple of games. They've got a couple of draws. But if this team has anything about them and wants to put a bit of a marker down to say, like, fair enough, we know we're not going to get automatic promotion, but we're not just going to roll over and allow someone to just come in and just like knock us out of the playoffs. First time of asking. They need to put at least somewhat of a marker down, and they should really be winning this one by 3 or 4 goals. But I will take a 1-0. And just to show how ridiculous it should be, I've even put Jeremy Sarmiento down to score. And that is mental because he has looked about as close to scoring as I have for the Borough. So do with that information what you will, because he has been not good. We'll just say that. It has not worked out. He's not he's not had the most game time, granted, but he's had enough chances to have done something, and as of yet, he has produced dick all of nothing. So, yes, please, Jeremy, prove why you have earned back-to-back promotions from this league in the last 2 seasons, and please do something for us. I should really have had him to have a goal against Ipswich, but then I would have had to have Borough scoring against Ipswich. So that would be weird. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of the predictions for this week. Did you say you had something to discuss?
It's just a couple of well, not trivial points. One of them is, but a couple of things from the Hull City persuasion. They've released the membership pricing for next year. So essentially, the season tickets, as it were, it's done on a membership basis, so you pay monthly throughout the year. They've made some amendments to some of the categories, but mainly the main one that affects me personally, having two juniors, is that the tickets for my boys would have gone up next season anyway, because the old upper age category on theirs was 10, because it was 2 to 10. They're changing that, so the upper limit on that is 2 to 15. So even if they'd have still have been 9 or whatever next season, I would have still have had to have gone with whatever price they gave for that category. The long and short of it is that for me personally, for the three of us to go, it's going up about a tenner a month, which sounds quite a lot in one hit. But if you then actually work out what that means, they've released the pricing now, which I find interesting because obviously, officially, we don't know what division we're going to be in. Thankfully, on the better end of that problem, not on the Sheffield Wednesday end of that problem. But it works out roughly that if we remain in the Championship, it works out for an adults membership at around £17 per game, just over £17 per game, which is very, very reasonable. If we are to be promoted, because there are less games in the Premier League, it would mean we were paying slightly more. But tell me where else in the Premier League that you would find a home season ticket for just under £21 per game.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
What it
good.
works out as. So that's pretty good. I did expect it. I wasn't daft enough to think that they would go down or stay the same or anything, because ultimately we're also coming to the end of this transfer embargo. They're going to want to spend some money. They're going to need to raise a bit of extra cash to do so because of the financial fair play and all that business. So I kind of expected it. So I'm not. Obviously, yeah, I'm gutted. It's for me personally. It's going to be a bit more expensive, but it's not, certainly not out of the bracket of being affordable, thankfully, which is great. The second thing, which is slightly more trivial, if you remember last week's podcast, we briefly discussed the fact that was lucky enough for my boys to get picked out to go play foot golf with some of the first team. Well, the kids' fun is over. It's time for the grown-ups to have a little bit of fun. Because this week, later on, in fact, probably the very day that this podcast comes out, maybe the very time you are listening to this podcast, I've been selected for one of the adult members events, which sounds terribly wrong when you say that way. But I'm gonna get to go and play darts with some of the first team, which is nuts. It'll be fun. I don't really play darts much, other than with my kids in our garage occasionally. However, I also had the good fortune of, after the boys' training tonight, talking to Louis Coyle, and it turns out he is one of the people going. So
Very nice.
watch this space, see how I have got on this time next week.
We wait with very much bated breath, I dare say. So lovely. You have to fill us in on just how many tons you can score.
It's been happening a bit more regularly recently, but not with any great consistency, I suppose.
Oh God, I don't think I think in the entire time that I've had access to a dabble, I think I've maybe scored 2 treble 20s in the entire time that I've been throwing.
Okay. Oh well. I'm
Not a regularly consistent thrower.
I'm a little more confident than that, but it's a case of I might score like 60 one go, 26 the next go. There's no like it's a bit. I'm going completely off topic now in a really weird way to finish the podcast. But when I have been playing darts with my sons, it'll get to the point where the first one goes in the 20 and the next one goes in the 1. And just as I'm about to throw, they're both stood to my left going, "Don't get 26." Like, yeah, thanks, boys.
So it's that thing, isn't it? You very slightly tweak it and then you overcorrect. You see to go back and join us next week for darts breakdown.
Or just break down if it's gone that badly. We'll see.
Yeah. well, God, if I'm coming to you off the back of Middlesbrough playing Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday and getting a grand total of 0 points, I think it might be yeah. Oh God, just full on meltdown. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of another week's podcasting. Thank you very much, as always, to Mr. Woodmansey for joining me to go through the details of the teams in question. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. Join us again next week where we'll have some more predictions for you and we'll go through those games we have just predicted. But until then, it's tatty bye from us and we will see you in a week's time. Tatty bye.
So there you go, which thing's that? Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, if you haven't already, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.